following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello, 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 and what is up out there in listener world? I am K Double. That there is Alpha. What's up, Alpha?
As always, my people.
My people, my people. And we're here to talk to you about some cheap pop culture shit. Like, that's what we do here. We talk pop culture, we talk wrestling, we talk movies. We'll get to some other stuff as we keep moving along episode to episode. But for this, we're back on that Marvel DC tip. And taking a look at the upcoming slate of movies, the most recent being coming up soon, this October 4th, next week, we have Joker. Which, I don't know
so goddamn hyped.
Yeah, I am. I am. Like, but it's also one of those things where I'm like, but is it really something to be excited about, being that it's not any part of any grander, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't going to be like Joker's backstory, like the Joker that we know. They said this Joker has nothing to do with the, you know, DC universe as it's been constructed so far. So, I mean, I have tempered expectations for it. I expect it to be good and epic, but I don't know if I expect it to be like comic book movie good and epic. Like, I'm thinking like Oscar nomination good and epic type movie.
I personally think, like, if we're just looking at it as a standalone movie, absolutely. I think it's gonna knock it out of the park and fire on all cylinders from what I've seen. Like, in terms of like a logistical sort of standpoint, I've only heard good thing after good thing about that movie, whether it be from critics or hearsay from people who have seen screenings or anything like that. People have been saying left and right that it is a masterpiece by all standards.
And there's
for me, like, we talked a while back on the show that we learned through the restart. I forgot what it's called. The new restart, Rebirth. The Rebirth in DC Comics, that there's 3 Jokers. And for me, that's helped this one-off story sort of idea with this Joker movie, because now it doesn't feel as erratic with them casting so many Jokers all the time. For me, like, now they can fit it in however they can, and for me, that just makes this movie all the better. Because for all we know, this could be a prequel to what we know as, like,
the future
past
Joker.
And that as an idea is badass to me.
Well, that rolls perfectly into the next movie, which will be a DC movie again, coming out February 7th, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. So I'm assuming that this is the Margot Robbie solo Harley Quinn movie that we were promised right before Suicide Squad. Don't know much about Birds of Prey. I've heard multiple things about it. Heard at one point Harley Quinn was portrayed as a lesbian during the Birds of Prey series, so that bit's good. I'm down to watch Margot Robbie make out with a chick. Like, that's not a bad thing.
You know what? I didn't even think about it like that, but I think I want to see Birds of Prey now.
Oh man, you know
you're speaking my language, I think. No, but if you haven't read the Birds of Prey comics, it focuses on a cycling group of female superheroes, usually consisting of Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and I think one other female. I might be wrong. I think that's it. And that's usually where they play into the idea that that Harley Quinn is, like, pursuing this lesbian relationship with Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy.
Yeah, and it's usually played out as really wholesome and adorable. So if I get to see that on the big screen, I don't think I'm complaining any. There is one thing though that I have heard about that movie that I'm not quite too sure about. I don't know if I'm wrong, but have you heard of the villain known as the Black Mask?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, the Black Mask is this, I think, one of my favorite Batman villains. He's this badass drug lord sort of character who was known for wearing the Black Mask, but through some freakish Batman related accident, like the mask ended up being melded to his fucking face.
Holy shit.
So he became forever known as the Black Mask from that point on. And he's a pretty cool character. If you played any of the Batman games, I'm pretty sure he shows up in all three of them in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
But I had heard that they might be making him gay in this movie just for the fuck of it.
Damn.
I was just like, well, fuck.
Well, goddamn, just for the fuck of it.
I mean, like, I'm not immediately writing it off. I'm a bit curious as to how it'll be pulled off. It might be funny for all I know, or it might be good.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge advocate for not touching the goddamn source material. So if this turns out bad, I'm gonna fucking throw something.
Oh, and let me put this out here right now. The Cheap Pop Podcast does not approve of any remake, redo, resport of The Princess Bride. That movie is damn near perfect. If you fuck with it, I will drive to wherever you shoot it at, or you shot it at, or whoever shot it. I will drive to your house, and I will shoot you. And yes, you can consider it a threat.
I will shoot you. No. That's not a threat. That's a promise.
Promise. There you go. Like, no, I'm not messing around. There was a tweet by Carrie Ewells, just kind of going off subject real quick, where there's an article talking about they're thinking about doing a Princess Bride remake, and he was like, there are so few perfect movies in the history of the world. Why mess with one of them? Like, and it's true. Have you ever seen The Princess Bride?
Oh, absolutely, I have. That is,
okay, yes.
In my opinion, one of the very few 10 out of 10 picture-perfect fucking movies that exists.
Exactly. So, like, yeah, no, you don't redo that movie. So anyway, getting back on track now. 2020, just a quick note, it's filled with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies from 3 different movie brands, basically. DC, Marvel, and Sony. So, okay. So Birds of Prey was the second movie. It was the first movie in 2020. There's a movie called Bloodshot coming out, starring Vin Diesel. It'll be out February 21st. It's a Sony movie. It says, after he and his wife are murdered, Marine Ray Garrison is resurrected by a team of scientists. Enhanced with nanotechnology, he becomes a superhuman biotech killing machine, Bloodshot. As Ray first trains with fellow super soldiers, he cannot recall anything from his former life. But when his memories flood back and he remembers the man that killed both him and his wife, he breaks out of the facility to get revenge, only to discover that there's more to the conspiracy than he thought. February 21st,
oh,
2020.
Fuck me. Okay, no, I remember who this is now. Okay.
Bloodshot.
Yes, I brought this up as a passing thought in an episode a while back ago. I don't know if it was last one or the one before. But it's from this comic book company called Variant.
Okay.
If you haven't heard of them, do yourself a favor, check them out. They have a lot of really original ideas.
Okay.
Everything that they do basically comes out of this idea to really set themselves apart.
Okay.
And they do a very good job at it because they're very good at setting their little universe apart from Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, and all that.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had the pleasure of looking at Bloodshot's design, look it up, check it out. He's basically if Punisher and Riddick were one fucking Wolverine-induced character, essentially.
Okay.
And his stories don't really get too different from what you'd see in your typical Frank Castle series or your 90s extremely gritty Wolverine standalones.
Yeah.
But Variant is very good at tying in its own little universe. And so I'm really fucking glad to see them making a movie out of that.
Okay.
gruesome as shit though. So
Hold on, no.
it's not for the faint of heart.
Oh no, they're saying that I thought they were saying that the movie got canceled or something. I was saying about the Bloodshot movie, but they said that all it is that Valiant's taking their next movie property, Harbinger,
Valiant, sorry,
to Paramount Pictures. So
oof, even better.
yes, so April 3rd next year is the New Mutants. Let's see. There you go. Ta-da. New Mutants, huh? Anna Taylor-Joy is Magic. Charlie Heaton. Henry Zaga. Blue Hunt. So a bunch of people that I've never... Antonio Banderas. I've heard of him. This come out... Let's see. Said Magic, Wolfsbane, and other teenage mutants try to come to grips with their superpowers while staying at a secret facility. August 2nd, 2019. No, that didn't come out August 2nd. It's coming out April 3rd, 2020.
There it is, okay.
That's okay.
You know who Magic is, right?
No.
Magic is the younger sister to Colossus.
Ah, okay. Okay.
I look forward to that. The New Mutants aren't something that you see too often. They were like that weird little, like, that drugged up version of the X-Men is what I like to call it, because they had so many fucking weirdly designed mutants.
Oh my goodness! What the hell? The ALP is just beating the hell out of somebody. Oh, that's not fair. They're just going out and beating people up and then coming back and sitting down. Wow, that's insane. All right, so May 1st is Black Widow, a movie that I know we're all looking forward to. One more chance to see Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, boy.
Wonder Woman is due out June 5th with Gal Gadot. Woohoo! So we're gonna get.
Oh man, I get Wonder Woman for my birthday. Cool. Okay.
Exactly. I was gonna say, well, I like the fact that within 2 months we get two very awesome female superhero flicks, right back to back. Then there's an untitled DC film due out July 24th, and then Sony's putting out Morbius July 31st.
All right. This is where we pray that unannounced DC movie is either Martian Manhunter or Green Lantern.
Yes. I would love to. Oh, God. If it was Martian Manhunter, man, I tell you.
Take my fucking money.
Pretty much. Take my money. Man.
Dude, if I can finally see John Johns on the big screen that isn't in Supergirl, dude, I will. My nerd boner will break through the scene.
Now, I'm wondering if Sony, because I haven't heard anything about this, but I'm wondering if Sony is going to honor their full contract as far as total number of movies with Marvel, because it says October 2nd, an untitled Sony Marvel sequel. So are we looking at Spider-Man 3 and just to finish out that trilogy? Or are we looking at a new IP that's going to be introduced?
I'd be interested.
And then
usually they announce all their movies like years ahead of time. So if it's unannounced, then they might be pulling something out of their ass.
Yeah, could be. Like I'm. What's funny is I honestly believe that slot was originally supposed to be Spider-Man 3. But since all this shit happened with Spider-Man, they moved it and they renamed it to Untitled Movie, just so they have the option to be able to throw something else in there if they want.
Quick little factoid while we're on the subject of Spider-Boy.
What's that?
The first and last movies in the Infinity War saga both ended with spoiler alert, with the main superhero having their identity revealed.
Really?
Iron Man 1, at the end of Iron Man, he reveals his Iron Man. How does Homecoming end?
Oh, yeah, huh? with Peter Parker being outed. Wow. I didn't even think about that. All right, so nice. All right, so we're getting a G.I. Joe movie spinoff from Paramount on
Oh
October
fuck yeah.
16th next year. Snake Eyes.
Oh yeah.
Looking through the articles, it says Andrew Koji to play Storm, Storm Shadow and G.I. Joe movie spinoff. It's been pushed to fall 2020. But yeah, Snake Eyes. Like, I'm hoping it's the same dude that played. I'm hoping it's the same dude that played Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe thing, in the G.I. Joe movies. Even though, like, I want to say it was the first one, but they got rid of it for the second one. I don't remember which one it was or if they did it in both. It's been so long since I've watched a G.I. Joe movie. The damn lips on the ninja outfit. Like, it was like, no, Snake Eyes
Stop
never
that.
had lips. Bad people at Paramount. Don't put the lips on there. We don't need lips. Snake Eyes' mask can just move up and down. Matter of fact, Snake Eyes didn't talk. So there was no reason to put lips
Matter
on
of
there.
fact.
Shit.
I don't know about you, but I was a huge fucking G.I. Joe kid. Like
Oh,
growing
yeah.
up, like I had the action figures, I had the vehicles that came with it, and all that. I was a huge G.I. Joe kid.
It's
so
nice to know, man.
I'm hyped for this.
Because I talked to some guys that are a little bit older than you, and I talked to them about G.I. Joe, and they looked at me and said, what? G.I. what? I was like, wait a minute, y'all don't even know, like, the recent movies with The Rock? Like, not just the toys, but, like, the recent movies, the cartoons?
Just like,
They're like,
no.
no. I'm
Exactly,
like,
like at least the Channing Tatum and all that.
yeah, exactly. And they were like, nope. I literally looked at one of them, or two of them, and I was like, here. And they're like, what? I was like, here, this is your rock. Go ahead and crawl back under it. And then I can set it back down. Because, goddamn, how have you never heard of G.I. Joe? But so we close out the year with October 16th with Snake Eyes, and then November 6th with the Angelina Jolie led Eternals movie.
Oh yeah,
So, all right.
I'm feeling it. It's the year of the underground comics.
Yes, it is. Let's see. Now, Sony has confirmed, now since we talked about the Morbius movie, that Spider-Man will cross over into the Morbius movie and the Venom sequel that they've already said is coming. The big question is, will it be Tom Holland, or will we be recasting Spider-Man again?
Sadly, we know exactly what's going to have to happen.
What's that?
And we're going to have to get a recast.
That sucks. Because I like Tom Holland. I truly do.
Maybe next episode or something, we should try to think about who we can recast there.
Yeah.
Because I definitely cannot do it off the top of my head.
No, I couldn't come.
They're really going to have to. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't say my brain is stuck on Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So, like, yeah, nah. Wouldn't be much changing to that. Yeah. So, okay. So that closes out 2020. I'm going to run through 2021 real quick, and we'll kind of give some thoughts. And then the same thing with 2022. And then we'll move on to the stuff about Netflix shows and Robert Downey Jr. So, okay. Yeah. 2021, we get Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Once again, this is one of the newer comic books. I have not read this one before, so I don't know what Shang-Chi will be about, but it's a Marvel movie, so I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty damn good. Like, I hate to say it, but 10 years worth of track record says that it's going to be a good movie.
I'm pretty sure it's one of the newer guys.
Yeah.
The newer introduced guys. I think I've vaguely heard about him, but not too much, even for me.
That's February 12th, 2021. May 7th, 2021, we get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where we'll get our next appearance from Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And then we close out 2021 with two more DC movies and then another Marvel movie. We'll get The Batman on June 25th. So it'll be the solo Batman movie. The Suicide Squad 2. I don't know why they just have it as Suicide Squad, because it will be the sequel to the original Suicide Squad.
Please tell me you've seen the cast lineup for that.
No, I have not. Is it good?
You haven't seen who's in it?
Uh-uh.
We're getting goddamn John Cena in a Suicide Squad movie.
Oh, God. You know what? If they make him like the next like Rick Fox type or Fox type character.
Oh, you mean Rick Flag?
Flag, sorry, yeah. The military dude. Okay, I can roll with that because he did a decent job in Bumblebee as the military dude. So I can kind of roll with him there. Mm-hmm. But if they try to make him any of the villains or any of the members of Suicide Squad, like, I'm over it. I will get up and walk out the movie, walk directly up to the manager, punch him in the gut, and demand my money back. like real talk. John Cena comes out and just, where's my money? Nah, y'all, no. John Cena is no. Just give me my money and let me go home. Oh man, but and then we close.
I do like.
What's up?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As a final thought on that Suicide Squad thing, I don't think people understand one of the key things about the Suicide Squad.
And what's that?
If you've read any of the Suicide Squad comics, anyone who has any surface knowledge knows that the Suicide Squad never has the same numbers.
Right. It always changes.
If you're lucky, you'll have Rick Flag appear maybe twice consecutively.
Yeah.
But no, they never have the same numbers. You've seen Eobard Thawne go through. You've seen Chemo, Parasite, any load of villain go through it. It is never the same. So I'm happy with them choosing new people, if I'm being honest.
Right on.
Like, as much as I utterly adored Will Smith as Deadshot and Captain Boomerang actually in something.
Yeah, actually,
like, you know, that actually is something. Like that's just how the Suicide Squad operates, and there's no point in treating it any differently.
And I think it also gives DC an opportunity to open up more, to introduce more characters and more flesh out their universe. Because like I said, there were some big misses, big whiffs with Batman and Superman, and they have an opportunity to kind of start over and reintroduce everybody to that by introducing a lot more villains and creating a bigger rogues gallery, you know, with throughout the Suicide Squad. You know, when you're using these multiple characters for the Suicide Squad, then not only do you give yourself more movies to be able to do of these individual characters, but you also give yourself more villains to be able to throw at in your Batman movies and your Superman movies, so on and so forth, because you've developed this rogues gallery of villains in these Suicide Squad movies.
Exactly. All you're doing is putting in more compelling characters for you to use for the future if you need them.
Exactly. So, but the movie that closes out 2021 in November is Thor: Love and Thunder, where we will be introduced to Jane Foster as Thor. So, very excited for that, but that's almost 2 years away.
I'm ready for that. I've always fucking adored what people would call the quote-unquote female Thor.
Yeah. You know,
usually they would with characters like Riri Williams or like whichever iteration of Captain America you want to pick, they focus too much on taking the name value and then setting them apart from what is previously different.
Yeah.
They just threw that out the fucking window and made Jane Foster Thor a complete badass.
Yep. And
that's always been just badass to me. And if they can put that and translate it perfectly from comics to movie, I'm taking multiple trips to the movie theater.
I would say don't get your hopes set too high, but let your hopes get up there, because I believe Thor: Love and Thunder is being directed by the same guy who did Ragnarok, and he did a pretty damn good job with Ragnarok.
Ragnarok's one of my favorites in the whole entirety of the MCU. Between Ragnarok and Civil War, I don't know which one I like more.
Oh yeah. All right, so 2022 kind of goes like this. There's an untitled film coming out on February 18th. I'm assuming that'll probably be the Captain Marvel sequel. The Black Panther 2 on May 6th, 2022. It says untitled Black Panther sequel, so that should be Black Panther 2. I don't understand DC Super Pets.
Oh no.
On May 22nd, 2022. And then July 29th, an untitled Marvel Studios film. And then on December 16th, 2022, we get the Aquaman sequel finally.
Good shit. I'm feeling it. Jason Momoa is going to kill it like he does. Yeah. But although we can't, because I don't have anywhere else to fit this in other than this part, we're going to be getting a Mortal Kombat movie, I think, in 2020.
Yes. I can't wait
for that. We're going to be getting a new Mortal Kombat movie.
And supposedly it's going to be R-rated.
Exactly. Have you seen the cast?
No.
No, the dudes that they have casted are, it's perfect.
Perfect. All right.
It's fucking perfect.
Okay. I'll tell you this.
They've shown their cast for Sub-Zero and Shang Tsung. That I've seen for sure. And both are glorious. I'm genuinely really hyped up for that movie. As a fan of those little, like, the ones that came out in the 90s.
I was
just
going to say.
Where Goro was a little rubber mask.
Well, see, to me, it's like this. Look, I say it like this. Those movies aren't 2 was just horrible. 2 is just, as far as, a movie and structure, 2 was horrible. It was a great, Mortal Kombat movie, but, I wouldn't have tried to put that in the theaters. That should have been straight to video. But the original Mortal Kombat was very well done. It brought you down to a level of, look, y'all, a lot of what you see visually on the game is exactly that, because it's a game. This is what the shit would be like if it was real life. That's how I took the translation of how the Mortal Kombat movie came out. Now, looking back on it, like I said, Mortal Kombat is a very hokey movie. It is. I don't deny that. But it was a great, well-written movie, and it fleshed out the characters for you. I'm hoping that this movie does the same and doesn't just go for gore. Just a bunch of fucking fatalities for the sake of fatalities. Give me some kind of story. I'm happy that it's going to be R-rated. I'm happy that they're going to be giving us fatalities and everything. That's awesome. But give me some story. Even 2, as bad as it was, had story. So give me story, and I'll be a happy consumer as far as the movie, but if you give me nothing but basically a Mortal Kombat horror flick with a bunch of fatalities and everybody dying left and right,
yeah, no. I want to see some real story. I don't want a Mortal Kombat branded snuff flick.
Right, pretty much. But all right.
Although there is one thing with that that if I could get one request, it is one single thing that I want.
What's that?
If you don't know, MK11 came out a little bit ago. Wonderful fucking game. Ronda Rousey is the voice of Sonya Blade in the game, right? And I'm not saying this just because I personally don't like Ronda Rousey all that much. Her voice acting is fucking horrendous. Straight up, it's bad.
Oh man!
And I really, really hope they don't cast her in the movie.
Yes, please don't. Please do not cast Ronda.
Yeah.
You know who you can cast as Sonya and just have her dye her hair blonde? The chick that played what's her name in the Deadpool movie, Cyborg. Or not Cyborg.
Oh, Chris
Cyborg. Gina Carano.
Oh,
the girl that played in Deadpool, the Deadpool movie, the superhero jump. She's gonna do a superhero jump. Her
superhero landing.
Yeah, superhero landing. Yeah, her. They should get her and just have her dye her hair long.
The chick that fucking punched the nuts off of Colossus. Right?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
She's massive too.
Yeah, she is. She's thick. And I don't mean in a good way. I don't mean the way you say it about fine girls. I mean she's thick. Her body is about 8 inches thick.
I don't mean thick with 2 C's. I mean thick as in she could crush my head like a watermelon.
Exactly. But anyway, all right. So moving forward a little bit here, there was a slight rumor that I saw somebody talking about on Facebook and they showed a tweet thread talking about it. Well, there's talk that the Netflix shows, Marvel shows, Daredevil, um, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, who else was it? Jessica Jones could be revived at some time in the future. They weren't given a specific date, but at some point in the future could be revived on the FX network. Now, for those of you who say, "Well, wait, how the hell you get this?" There is a connection there, folks. Disney owns both Fox and Marvel. So by virtue of owning Fox, they own the FX network as well. So it could be a place just like Legion is one of the Marvel shows that shows up on FX that we could get Luke Cage and all the rest of them back. Now there are some that doubt it because they say that that people like Michael Coulter have already signed on to do other shows for other networks. But you know, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody worked for two networks at the same time or worked on two shows at the same time. So, what are your thoughts on them potentially bringing those back?
I've already done my preaching for those shows on the past, but if I'm being real, I love those shows with a passion. That circle of the Marvel Knights, I believe they're called, of Iron Fist, Moon Knight, Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, that really, really gritty side of Marvel that all lies in the same little portion of New York. I adored that little set of superheroes for the longest time.
Yeah.
Although in most of those shows they dropped the ball in the season 2. Season 1 of each of those collective shows, especially Punisher and Jessica Jones, I'd say that is damn near a 10 out of 10 show if you're just considering season 1 of both of those.
Yeah.
I still go back and watch season 1 of Punisher to this day just because it's so fucking enjoyable. And if I can see them pulled off with the same set of actors, I'll be a happy man.
And that's the thing for me is if you can, I think that would be the only way that Marvel challenges DC as far as like television content. Because Disney Plus is going to provide a lot of new shows and stuff like that, and things that we haven't seen before, like the Moon Knight show is going to be on Disney Plus. I think that bringing those back on FX would be perfect, and just starting with season 3 and going from there. You know, because those shows were amazing on Netflix. Like, for me, it was all of them. I can definitely say Daredevil was really good, only because of two things with Daredevil. Is that they waited till damn near the end of the season to give us Kingpin in the big white suit, the iconic white suit. And they waited until almost the end of the season to give us Daredevil in the actual Daredevil outfit. You know, he did all the heroic things throughout most of the season, and it wasn't until, I believe, the last episode when he finally goes after Fisk that he actually dons the Daredevil mask and the whole uniform. And that the way that they used
the horns and all that.
Yeah, and the way that they used that to build that up was just beautiful. You know, it was very well done. It wasn't as well done when they tried to redo it, when they tried to recreate a similar type thing with Iron Fist, but it was well done with with Daredevil. But yeah, if you can give me those same showrunners and those same writers and even those same actors, I'll take it. And so our finals,
honestly, even if it's in the form of like the Defenders, where it's all collective rather than like the specific little tidbits, I'll take that.
I'll take that. Yeah, give me a Defenders show on FX, and I'm a happy man. One that gives me 3 less shows to have to record.
Exactly, though. I'm feeling it.
All right. So, final topic was one that you brought to the table during a running sheet session. Robert Downey Jr. has signed on to do one more movie with Marvel. Now, don't get your hopes up, folks. We're probably not seeing an Iron Man 4. It's most likely to do the Black Widow movie. But Alpha brought this up off air that the movie, the Black Widow movie, is supposed to be a prequel. So it would make sense for RDJ to show up at some point in that movie. So
What do you think about that? What are you feeling on that?
I like it. Like I said, it being a prequel, it makes sense. You know, because Tony Stark would still be alive. You know, the events of Endgame haven't happened, because technically if the events of Endgame have happened, then Black Widow's not alive. You know, so...
yeah, I did not think about that.
Yeah, so yeah, they can bring back whoever they want, you know, for the prequel. Like, that does not bother me. And it's always be nice to see RDJ playing Tony Stark one more time. The arrogant bastard that he was, you know, one more time.
Just one last time. I'm digging it. When I heard that they were bringing him back for one movie, I was really afraid.
Yeah.
That they were, like, in a fit of losing Spider-Man, they were gonna hastily pull the trigger on bringing RDJ back to, like, fix something. You know, bring Riri Williams into the situation to replace Spider-Man, or just, I don't know, in some freak act, bring RDJ back to try to patch that hole.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it was in the form of a prequel and not anything else. So
right.
Like, that was a massive sort of wipe the sweat off my fucking forehead moment, because I don't think anything in the entirety of the MCU had as much build up as the rise and then death of Iron Man.
Right.
Like, if I could pick one singular character that had more focus on him than anything else throughout the entirety of the MCU, it was Iron Man.
True.
And I felt like that was like the biggest climax in all of Endgame. And if they were to go back and fuck that up, then that's how many years of development all fucking thrown out the window.
Exactly.
Just because you lost your character. So I'm glad that they're not doing that. That's all I was afraid of, and you know that's just confirmation for me that they're not going to shit on this character that they spent like 12 years building up.
No shit. Very well said. We'll leave it there, and we'll go to commercial break. Come back after that with a little bit of wrestling talk. Wrestling. Right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Cheap Pop Podcast, episode 5. And we'll see you after the break. Peace.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
Hello, Radio World. This is K-Double here to let you know about KD5P, K-Double's fifth period music class, a bi-weekly music show here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, where every other Friday night at 8, I take you on a musical journey through the careers of some of your favorite musical artists. So check me out on Spreaker.com/4 Aces Presents Radio, or on iHeartRadio every other Friday at 8 p.m. on Revolving Door episodes. Peace. KD5P.
And we are back to talk some wrestling. As I'm sitting here watching, it's not Nakamura.
God damn it.
Styles, Bobby Roode, and Glorious DDT. 1, 2, 3. Roode eliminates AJ Styles.
They did that on purpose, didn't they?
I think so.
We had to eliminate Styles. They had to have one TNA guy eliminate the other, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking it's going to be Rey Mysterio.
Think so?
It's Roode and Mysterio.
Oh,
and
yeah, it's going to be Mysterio.
Roode's already a champion, and Mysterio's on his whole retirement tour, gimmick.
He's going to go put over Seth, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Yep. No, I'm alright with that.
But then again, though, with the recent feud, I could be completely wrong. It could be Bobby Roode.
All
right. So anyway, getting back to wrestling, I'll let y'all know.
What we starting with?
Sorry, I'll update y'all on that when the match is over. We're also getting a rematch of Braun versus Seth tonight on Raw. So, all right. So, go ahead.
No. I was just commenting on that.
Okay. So here we go. So NXT debuted on USA last week, and now here's where they caught me by surprise. Both me and Alpha agreed off air, kind of we both thought it was a good idea that they did it this way, but it did catch me off guard the fact that they did it that way. Basically, the first hour of NXT is now a 2-hour show. The first hour of NXT is aired on USA. The second hour is aired on the network, which makes sense from a financial standpoint, because to me, I think it's just it's a way to bring or to convince people to want to. And Rey Mysterio is going to get the Universal title shot next week.
I knew it.
Yeah. So I believe that may be in Sacramento, huh? Because if Hell in a Cell, if Hell in a Cell is Hell in a Cell next week?
If Hell in a Cell is this Sunday, then Rey Mysterio is going to be in town for that.
Are they going to be in town after, or are they going to be in town, or are they going to be a Golden One before? Because they're in San Francisco this week.
No, that's how they do the shows. They'll record them in the same venue for the entirety next week after. That's why they're going to be in the same town for a whole week after a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Okay. So there. But NXT, the first hour debuted on USA, and to me, they put up some damn good matches. Some truly damn good matches. As far as the matches that they gave us online, you saw Candice LeRae get slotted in for her shot at the NXT Women's title against Shayna Baszler. You saw Roderick Strong. I believe it was Roderick Strong that won. Yeah, that won the North American title off Velveteen Dream. So now Undisputed Era has
about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
They have that trademark capital on every title in the brand now, and I've been wanting that for a year. So that happened, and I fucking jumped out of my chair. And if you weren't witness to what Roderick went and put up after, do you remember long time ago when Shawn Michaels was on Playgirl?
Yeah.
And he had taken the picture of him complete ass naked laying down fucking the chick from Titanic.
Yeah.
With nothing but the belt covering his junk.
Yeah. Roderick Strong
went and he went and recreated that.
Nobody's ever going to want to touch that belt again, ever.
I don't know. I mean, I think Dream might.
Dream might, yeah, he might. That's a good one. Yes, I will agree there. Oh man, but it was sorry, man. Like I get your ecstaticness, but I didn't ever want Velveteen Dream to lose. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully him losing the belt means that we're going to be seeing some Dream on the main roster sometime soon.
Mm-hmm. I have faith that Dream is one of those people that they're not going to fuck up.
Yeah.
Or badly at least, because I think looking at him, I think he's someone that he's going to be able to succeed on the main roster with what he had going for him.
Easy. I'll say, but let me give props where props are due. That intro for NXT last week, bravo, Triple H. Bravo. That intro was beautiful. It got me nice and hyped. And then when he walked out into the crowd, he walked out onto the stand, and the whole crowd's NXT, NXT. I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see what y'all got. And they definitely brought the best of the best. I didn't end up catching the second hour because I only taped the first hour, and then I never went back onto the network and watched the second hour. So eventually I'll have to do that. But yeah, NXT is now a 2-hour show. I also think that, and I think I explained this to you guys last week, and I've said this to multiple people, I think that NXT going to USA was just a kind of like, here's something shut up for the USA Network. Because technically the USA is losing one of its highest rated shows in SmackDown to Fox. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so WWE said, well, then we'll give you NXT for the first hour on Wednesdays, so that, you still kind of have that show, that extra wrestling show, or maybe there's something in the contract with USA that says USA has to have at least 2 wrestling shows. And so this is WWE's way of fulfilling the 2 wrestling shows, because they're leaving Raw and whatchamacallit. I still don't see what all this jumping around is for, because I know at the end of the day, both Raw and SmackDown and NXT are going to end up on the network. Like I've said that from the day the network started, that eventually Raw, SmackDown, it's all going to end up on the network, and you're just going to have a network subscription in order to watch it. Like maybe just because of how well it's always done, Raw will stay on, USA. But I've always expected all of the rest of the shows to eventually end up on the network. Because it's like, why pay money to these networks, to these TV networks, to air your shows there, or get into these deals with these, when you can just air them on your own network?
I don't see why they haven't done that before at this point. Like,
yeah,
I get it, because they have the marketing value at that point on regular TV. But when you have your own streaming service that could do it better, I don't quite see why you wouldn't.
Yep.
And at that point, you have no limitations, because half of the things that everybody complains about happening on WWE TV right now are purely because of the fact that the networks put that in the fine print and say, we need this, this, and this, otherwise we're not signing this.
Yep. Now, one of the things that I'm a little bit pissed off about with the Fox thing, and this is going to be the most minute, like, first world problem issue with this, I've seen the full cut of the SmackDown Live commercial for Fox. I'm tired of watching Fox on Sundays for football and seeing that edited version where the dude turns over and smashes the glass, and then it just shows Stone Cold and he goes, oh, hell yeah. Nah, that's not what happened. Dude smashes the glass, and then he looks over at the cello player, and the cello player's like, dun, 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 dun. And then Stone Cold goes, oh, hell yeah. You took that part out. I don't like it. That's why I said it's a first world problem issue with it, but I don't like it.
Put it back.
Because that's what made the whole part like hella funny, was the dude smashes the grass, and then he looks over at the cello dude, and the cello dude's like, jun, 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 jun. It's like, yeah, you're a fan too, I know it. Yeah.
We're still here.
You know, shoot.
And then
Well,
you
what's
feel
funny
it.
is, let me state this real quick while we're on the wrestling subject. There are far more wrestling fans out there than people want to give credit to wrestling for. Like real talk. Like I, I know more wrestling fans than I know not wrestling fans. Like, and that's not because, oh, I only attract wrestling fans. Like, there are people that I didn't think were wrestling fans that I'm like, oh shit, you're a wrestling fan? Holy
Man,
man.
you watch that shit too?
Yeah, holy shit. Oh, you actually know what you're talking about. All right, cool. You know, like there are far more people that I find that with than I do find people that just don't watch wrestling, have never watched wrestling, will never watch wrestling, you know, just aren't into it. Like back in the day, like it reminds me of the Attitude Era when it was really hard pressed to find somebody who wasn't a fan of wrestling. You know, you were more likely if you reach into a random crowd of people to pull out a wrestling fan than not.
Mm-hmm. Never forget the Kofi quote, though.
What's that?
The best Kofi quote will forever be the one of, he was like, I spent my whole life getting made fun of for wrestling, and then one day I came to school and everybody had on an Austin 316 t-shirt.
Uh-huh. It's true, though. It is.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't remember the day when I discovered it. I just remember looking up one day and going, wait a minute, it's now cool to be a wrestling fan? Awesome. That
Hey, no
works
more.
for me. Yeah, like really cool. Like, cause I've been liking this shit for decades now. Like, glad y'all caught up. You know, like, welcome to the club. You know,
Welcome to the party.
You know, like, and that's just the truth of the matter. Like, people, and I think, and then it went away from being cool to be a wrestling fan again, like in the early 2000s. Like, even with the popularity of The Rock and all that, once The Rock stopped making, like, regular appearances and Austin's back problems got to him and he wasn't, you know, there every week and it really became the Triple H show, you know, people kind of veered off from wrestling and then it was no longer really cool to be a wrestling fan again. But now with the emergence of AEW and New Japan and WWE's, you know, having more of these smaller guys go over, these more popular guys go over, you're starting to see a resurgence in it's okay to be a fan of wrestling again. Like, you know, like people don't mock you for being a fan of wrestling.
No, I'm not here openly converting people. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
My mom will be like, she'll get a group of my friends and she'll just be like, all right, look, if you guys come over and watch wrestling with us, I'll make dinner for all you motherfuckers. And that's how I get them. That's how I get them. I get like 4
Mom's
new wrestling
cooking.
fans right out of that night, right there.
Well, because I don't
it works
think
too.
I don't think a lot of people truly understand and appreciate what's going on in the ring. Because, like, for me, I went through phases of being a wrestling fan. Like, when I was a kid, I was just I loved to watch the good guys beat the bad guys and smash them up and, you know, Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan and, oh, what a rush, you know. And then I went from that to being like in my mid 20s and like I said, wrestling being popular again and it being cool to be a wrestling fan and Austin 316 and finally and The Rock and all that to now to going from that to living with a guy who was a pro wrestler, the guy that we talked to last week, Jamil, to living with him. He was a former pro wrestler for 5-6 years. You know, went to several of his shows and got to see a lot of how things work kind of behind the scenes with wrestling. You know, and without it being like we're tearing back the curtain and showing you that wrestling is this or that. No, it was just okay, here's like the day-to-day minutia of a wrestler. You know, and them going to practice and what they talk about during practices and what they talk about when they come home. I lived with the wrestlers, so, you know, after practice they come home and they talk. You know, and they're talking about their jobs and it was seeing it like that began to give me a different appreciation for what goes on for wrestlers. You know, with the what the day to day is and what how much they actually put into what they do inside the ring. And then I became critical of wrestlers and critical of in-ring work. Whereas before, I never cared about in-ring work. Like, make me laugh, cool, somebody get the pin, good guy goes over bad guy, I'm good. But now I'm looking at John Cena and going, well, shit, dude, like you're doing the same 6 moves every match. Like when I was 5 years old, that probably wouldn't have bothered me, but now that I'm 35, like, dude, do something. And
That's
so,
not a bad way of looking at it. No, like it's only been in these last 3 years where I've really delved deep into wrestling.
yeah,
I took a small 2 or 3 year hiatus from wrestling. I missed 2015, 2016. Most of it I had to go back and really update myself on all of it, but really get into it this last 2 years. It's looking at it, you see it in a whole different light after you really learn those different types of things.
and so it's just one of those things. But we're getting a little bit off script here, but it's just one of those type of things where I have a complete appreciation for what these guys do, for what they put their bodies through, for how hard they work, just for the entertainment of people like myself, people like yourself, people that go to Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Yeah, they're doing it for the money too, but really the ones that are doing it at that level are really doing it because they enjoy the thrill it gives them when they walk out there and 10,000 people are chanting their name. I couldn't imagine that level of power, that you feel. So, but all right. So getting back on
going back one last thing, going back to what I had said, it's getting new people into wrestling. It feels fucking great to see people really enjoy that after enjoying it for so long. Like my current girlfriend, we went to a show and she was like, "Hey, can I wear your Bullet Club shirt?" And I damn near shed a tear.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, you can.
You can.
And then later on we were talking and she was like, "No, this is an art form." And I was like, "God damn, I love you."
Oh man. But it truly is and schooling people on wrestling is something that I've gotten really good at throughout the years. But all right,
damn right.
So moving on to the next part of the script here, it becomes official. I was reading this is a while back, but it becomes official as of next week after the Raw and SmackDown Live drafts. That basically Raw and SmackDown Live will officially be two separate brands. It will officially be split into two different brands. There won't be much crossover anymore. Raw will be Raw, SmackDown will be SmackDown, and unfortunately Brock Lesnar will be WWE champ. I just see that happening. It all flooded back to me. All the shit that Cole had said months ago about the Fox merger, and then when he challenged him I was like, okay, he's gonna challenge him at Hell in a Cell. I was like, maybe Kofi will keep it. And then I'm like,
no.
Oh, he's challenging him at the Friday night. But wouldn't make sense though.
Yeah, it would make sense, but it's at this point. I've learned that you don't think of WWE in the way that what would make most sense.
Yeah. So okay, Phoenix. Okay, so next week Monday Night Raw is going to be in Phoenix. Okay, so yeah, they're officially going split because the October 4th is the first SmackDown Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one, it's from LA. And that one's going to be from LA. Raw is going to be in Phoenix next week. So they're officially no longer going, this is the last week with them both in San Francisco, where they're both going to be in the same building just one night after each other. SmackDown will be its own brand. Yeah. They're officially splitting.
The last week then, huh?
Yep. Now that breeds good things to me. I like the fact that the brands are separate. I like the fact when the brands are kept separate. It makes it an even bigger deal when somebody from Raw actually does show up on SmackDown, or somebody from SmackDown shows up on Raw. It makes it a much bigger deal.
Exactly. How big of a deal was it when AJ Styles had to fill in and fight Finn Balor that one night when Bray couldn't show up?
Yeah. That.
That was a
huge.
big thing for that reason, exactly.
And so I think that I'm glad that they're going in that direction because I've always said that the shows should be permanently kept separate. Now, what I also think is that, and I think you may have brought this up, or maybe it was Jamil last week, that it makes no sense to bring NXT onto USA and not make it its own separate brand. You know what I'm
Pretty
saying?
much.
Like, so no more moving. You're going from NXT to the main roster. NXT is a part of the main roster. You just either come in under NXT and then you go to SmackDown Live or Raw, or you come in under SmackDown Live or you come in under Raw.
Exactly. It's like, no, I've heard it at this point. Like, with how NXT runs itself and with how it operates, it should just be its own separate brand at this point. Like, it needs to be kept in mind that it is developmental.
Yeah.
That is one small thing that I have about NXT. It's people really get their hopes up with how good NXT usually is, that when you see people like Kona Reeves or people like Damian Priest come through, people get mad when it's not 5-star content. Like, you need to remember, this is developmental for a reason.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about running the show. Sorry, I'll let you go in just a second. That's the beautiful thing about running the show the way that they're doing it, is that you can take your more experienced guys and get them on the card to open it. Basically, you run it the opposite of the way you would run a normal wrestling show. Instead of saving your big names for last, you put your big names, and your true main event happens basically in the middle of the show. And then the second half of the show is where you're debuting and showing off all of your developmental guys, because that's just airing on the network. So, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry about it. Didn't mean to cut you off like that. Holy shit.
Oh, no, it's all good. That's a really, really good point. Like, I've always stood by the idea that having people who are main roster right now, a lot of the underground guys, go to NXT would be a good thing to see.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot look me in the eyes and tell me to my face, truthfully, that you cannot imagine Dolph Ziggler tearing it up in NXT.
Oh shit! Hell yeah!
Like, I'm not even a big Dolph Ziggler fan like that, but I can see the fact that if you put him there with that crowd, with those fans, with the other people that aren't NXT, you're gonna see some fucking magic.
And I do agree, but I think that there's a thought process that we want to keep NXT. We want to be honest with you, I'm more along the lines of we want to keep the main roster guys as far away from NXT as possible. They have 5 hours of airtime between SmackDown and Raw every week. You know what I'm saying? Let the NXT guys carry the show. They have more than enough talent down there. You know, from their females to their males, you know, to their tag teams. They have enough talent down there that show can carry itself. What I honestly think they need to do with NXT is, you've already got a mid-card belt in NXT with the North American Championship. You've already got a heavyweight title. You've already got a tag team titles. You've already got a women's championship. Now you truly need to develop a women's tag team championship. You've already done it on the main roster. It's already been a success. Now give us the NXT version of the Women's Tag Team Championships and expand. Since NXT is expanding to a 2-hour show, expand the girls roster by a lot more.
I see that. That's been one of my very, very few critiques of NXT. I adore NXT, and especially how they carry women's matches. But the thing about NXT women's feuds is that it always feels like it's just like it's these two women's turn with the women's feud, you know?
Yeah.
It's always felt like it was just like cycling the next person. It didn't feel like it did with the bigger feuds that were given to the men. It didn't feel like that.
Right.
So with women's tag belt, you can finally use more than 3 women at a time.
Exactly. You know, and not to mention the fact, at that point, not only are you using more of your females, but you're also developing your females for the female tag team to pump into the female tag team division on Raw and SmackDown. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I think they do need to do is that they do need, in my personal opinion, they do need to keep NXT or keep the Raw women, or keep the women's tag team championships with SmackDown and Raw. Like, they need to be able to keep whoever's the women's champs can bounce back and forth between both shows. But they need to make it to where only people with championships can bounce back and forth. Like, it's just a privilege of the champions. Oh, the Fiend just attacked Braun Strowman. I'll be damned. Spoiler alert, y'all. If y'all are watching Raw while you're listening to this, sorry.
I love everything they're doing with the Fiend.
Yeah,
I'm digging it.
I am.
Just this weird, like, Rob Zombie-esque fucking wrestler. Whatever it is, I'm loving it.
I just don't know if it's time to put the belt on him. Like, I truly don't.
It's way too early, I think.
Like, I don't know if
like,
the
as
world
much
is
as I
ready
love
for
the
a
Fiend,
champ.
just like I'm hoping if they do put the title on him, like I've heard they're going to make him challenge for, or if it's confirmed yet. If they do, I hope they're really meticulous about it, because they got a really good thing going with the Fiend.
Well, yeah, no, he's facing Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
It's already a lock. Like that's the main event of Hell in a Cell. They announced that shortly before Clash of Champions. But okay, so last thing we want to talk about before we get on to the 1 year ago and all that good stuff. There was a skit on tonight's Raw. For those of you, hopefully you've seen it already, with R-Truth. And once again, spoiler alert, R-Truth gets pinned by Carmella, and Carmella is your new 24/7 champ. It happened while we were off air, right before we started recording, and I thought it was a great skit. I thought it was a great skit for one reason, for one major reason. Right after Carmella wins the belt, R-Truth is like congratulating her, and instead of having R-Truth roll her right back up and take the belt right back, five female wrestlers come running out of the back and start chasing Carmella, who jumps on R-Truth's back and runs off. So now she's the champ and he's the one protecting her, like she was always protecting him. I love it. Like, I truly do.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is or who's writing anything having to do with that title, but the 24/7 title is what's keeping Raw going for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's consistently like a legitimately funny thing, not like the usual WWE slapstick sort of like fart jokes or none of that. It's actually like legitimately funny as shit.
Oh yeah,
every week.
Oh man, and that's
like whether it be Titus O'Neil or like Truth, I love it.
No, big time. Like Titus O'Neil, it's really had me going a couple of different times. But I can tell you this, my brother. Like, I am highly impressed with everything that they have going on right now. I just can't wait to see what AEW is going to have in return.
Oh, speaking of which, did you see what Kenny Omega said?
Mm-mm.
Commenting on the idea of it being a Wednesday night war.
Okay.
I don't have the direct quote, but it was something along the lines of like, you can call it a war if you want, but I wouldn't go to war with people that I'm friends with, for one.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if this was all one big promotion, if there wasn't separate promotions, if this was all one big show, then the people that I'm in a so-called war with would be competing in dark matches on the show that I'd be in the main event.
Damn.
I was like, fuck.
Well, shots fired on that one. Damn.
You don't see Kenny Omega usually say stuff like that, so that hit like a fucking steam train.
It's the truth, but damn, dog. Like, you didn't have to be that vicious.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that was harsh. Not only that, but quick thing, I've heard that Kenny Omega's working on an AEW video game.
Nice.
And take my fucking money.
Take my fucking money, that's
Say no
right.
More. Say no more. I
All right,
pre-order that faster than you can say my name.
You know, yeah, I would be one of those ones that own both of them. All right, brother. So hit us with a little bit of that 1 year ago today you were telling me.
1 year ago today, for those who don't know, Gatto, the man who managed Okada for 8 years consecutively, turned on him and started what he called the era of the Switchblade, making Jay White joined the Bullet Club. Not only that, but Jado and Gedo joined the Bullet Club, three of them switching from Chaos to Bullet Club, which I'd say was pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
And that kickstarted Jay White becoming what I would consider to be the quintessential heel as we speak. From that point on, Jay White has done nothing but prove that he is the shit and a half, in my opinion.
Well, there you go. 1 year ago today. Hopefully he'll keep bringing back those factoids. Shoot.
As always.
I want to say, and do you have a wrestler of the week this week, sir?
Oh, wait, hold up. There was a tournament in New Japan that just ended.
Oh, okay.
The Young Lion Cup just came to a conclusion. The Young Lion Cup is one of fucking New Japan's, one of their 86 different tournaments that they run. This one's a little infrequent, but I always look forward to this one because one of my favorite people on the New Japan roster is the machine known as Hiroki Goto, and he won it back in 2005 and kickstarted his storied career. But the Young Lion Cup, if you don't know, is mostly focused around the Young Lions, which is basically New Japan's their developmental, their dojo, the guys that they're training. Yeah. And that's where you've seen a lot of the best competitors come out from. The previously mentioned Jay White, Goto, Okada, Tetsuya Naito, all the biggest New Japan names all come from the New Japan dojo and were Young Lions at one point.
Okay.
They really focus on a lot of the new factions coming into this. Not the newer factions, but there were people in the factions. Robbie Eagles being a part of Chaos now. How that connects to him and El Phantasmo, them two still duking it out and everything. The new members of the Bullet Club, Kenta, the newer guy that was introduced, I forget the name of. But they focused a lot on the multi-man matches like New Japan usually does, the faction wars.
Yeah.
And the winner of the Young Lion Cup this year was Carl Fredericks, and I always like seeing the Young Lions. I personally like seeing them more when Minoru Suzuki is slapping the taste out of their mouth, but I was happy to see them actually, wrestle. I'm a little bit saddened because my boy Shota Umino didn't take it home. I'm just a lonely John Moxley mark here.
Oh.
But as a whole, there were a lot of good matches. I always love seeing Tomoki Honma still in action and every little member of Chaos, even though they're getting a little bit old. But as a whole, it was a really good tournament, and Carl Fredericks took it home.
There you go.
And as per usual, bridging that in, your boy has his Wrestler of the Week.
For sure.
I would just like to specify I didn't specify this from the beginning, and I probably should have. My Wrestler of the Week isn't based off of a wrestler doing good specifically this week.
Yeah.
I just like to bring up a wrestler that I think you all should take a look at and check out their work.
Right.
But this should come as no surprise. If you don't know who this is, then I think you need to see a therapist. As a wrestling fan, if you don't know this man's work, you need some help. Pentagon Jr. is my wrestler of the week, or Pentagon L. Yep.
Go on.
If you somehow haven't seen anything from this man, where are you even fucking living? This man is legendary. I understand if you're exclusive to like the WWE, but I don't think you're watching this if you're exclusive to the WWE. But
yeah,
Pentagon Jr. is someone who has made his rounds around the Indies and has done wonderful things since. He's been Lucha Underground's shining star. He had a match with Vampiro that was one of the best I've ever seen. That entire angle was amazing. His work in PWG, his work in TMLL and AAA, it is the stuff of fucking legends. The entire idea of Pentagon Jr.'s character is that he's this foggy mirror version of the Mexican wrestling legend Octagon.
Okay.
And Pentagon Jr. essentially has some of the best work and moves that I've ever had the pleasure of seeing in a luchador, and I can easily say he is my favorite luchador on this planet right now.
There you go. Nice.
He's one of the few. Exactly. He's one of the few wrestlers that picks up the package pile driver as a finishing move, and he calls it the fear factor, which is fucking badass. But do yourself a favor. Check out Lucha Underground. Check out his work in PWG. He does matches with his brother under the moniker of the Lucha Bros, which is usually top tier shit. Their matches with the Young Bucks are
yeah, I've seen a couple of their matches with the Young Bucks, and yeah.
No, exactly. It slaps. So do yourself a favor. If you're not catching them on AEW, any of the previously named things, do yourself a favor and check out Pentagon Jr.
There you go. All right. So that's going to wrap us up for this week, guys. It's been great talking wrestling and comics books with you. And we will see you again next week. Hopefully we'll get an episode recorded for Sunday. If not, we'll be back again next Monday. Or we just might make the move to Mondays. We'll have to talk about that off air. But it's been fun talking with y'all again. Keep listening in. Like I said, we got Lip Gloss and Mics tonight. You can go back and listen to Double K's Classroom from this week. Talk some fantasy football. Go back and listen to Brick and MVT Deuce. As well, Mr. Deacon's Experience. Inspiration Radio, all great shows right here on the 4H Presents Radio Network. So we'll catch y'all next week. And any last words for him, brother?
As per usual, my people.
There you go. Late.